Hey everyone, Rudinix of Valley Ridge. The purpose of this video today is we're going to talk about what being an American means and what it has meant traditionally. Let's go ahead and get started. Well, before we get started, guys, I've been looking at some of the data for our channel and noticed that nearly 3/4 of the people watching videos aren't subscribed. So if you really want to help get information out there, especially when it comes about firearms, freedom, our American history, like the real history, not the revisionist crap, go ahead and subscribe and even like and share the videos. It always helps us out. It really helps grow the channel because you know what the algorithms like to do on YouTube to people with traditional viewpoints. So that would be me. So when we're out here and we're going to talk about what being an American is, I'm sure a lot of you have probably noticed the last few years, and maybe even longer than that if you've been plugged in longer, you notice that being an American, what we grew up with, especially Gen Xers, baby boomers, maybe even some of those millennials as well, have probably seen a deterioration in what that actually means. In other words, America shouldn't be celebrated, it should be condemned. Or that real freedom means is the ability of government to control our lives. Like that's real freedom. And the younger people, especially people in their 20s and even teen years now, kind of have a viewpoint and probably indoctrination from their public schools, and then God forbid they go to college and really learn from some true socialist believers that the United States is evil and that real freedom comes at the hands of government. Well, I'd like to show you a video clip from Dana White, president of the UFC, about what happened when a sponsor tried to make him take something down, take a post of something down. So go ahead and check this out.
Go ahead and play it.
Me too. This happened to me. I posted a video for Trump, right, on my personal social media. And one of our big sponsors called and said, take that down. You know what I said? Go fuck yourself. You vote for whoever you want to vote for, and I'll vote for whoever I want to vote for. That's how this works. I don't even care who you're voting for. It's none of my fucking business. Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Don't ever fucking call me and tell me who to vote for.
Yeah.
Very diplomatic.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel in fear these days, A lot of people feel in fear that if they don't vote for certain people, they're going to lose their jobs. Yeah. I mean, it's Hollywood, for example.
Think about how fucking crazy that is.
It sounds insane. It sounds just like...
Well, it'll keep happening unless more people stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
There you go.
And give them the fuck you.
Now that to me is a traditional American attitude. Don't tell me what to say. Don't tell me who to vote for. I'm going to vote for whoever I want to. Whoever you vote, that's your business, and no one can control that. So when we look at our traditional American founders and we look at our traditional country, I'd like to illustrate that the people that built this country, the people that founded it, didn't look at government as a mechanism of control. They looked at it as an entity that should be controlled by the people. And when you look at the role of government today, that many people of various generations, but certainly even the younger ones are really bad about this. When you look at it, they believe that government is a mechanism for change, or even worse, that government is almost a shoehorn into getting people to do what they want to do. In other words, people want to use government to enact their vision for what America should be. Not only is this fundamentally wrong, and I think that word fundamental is very important, because a fundamental, what that means is fundamentals is what everything is comprised of in this country. So when I hear presidential candidates say we're going to fundamentally transform America, that means they're going to change it away from something that it was into a completely new entity. And that's what true leftist believers want to do. They want to discredit the past. There's no value there. There's nothing good about it. Everything has to be destroyed. Our original art, our traditional values, our traditional freedoms, what this country was supposed to be, it needs to be throttled, destroyed, and trashed, and then rebuilt anew into something using much more collectivist visions as opposed to individualist visions. And this is absolutely inherently wrong and the least American mentality that someone can have. I'd really like to emphasize that the people that built this country, that founded it, and that fought for it in the American Revolution, they had a serious rebel spirit. And I mean rebel spirit. And I mentioned this in my American Rifleman books, American Rifleman Born of Armed Rebellion. That's a name a friend of mine, James Owens, and I were talking about many, many years ago. And we have that spirit of rebellion and against it. It's not rebellion for the sake of just simply being contrarian. What that means is they're rebellious rebelling against big centralized government that they deemed as tyrannical. So they were rebelling against government, not rebelling against freedom. And when we look at that rebellious spirit of our ancestors and our rebellious spirit of the people that built this country, what were they rebelling against? They were rebelling against other people telling them how to live their life and using government to do that. Having very draconian, heavy-handed role of government that the British did. Stationing troops, putting in offices to deprive people of liberty, taking their money through taxation, trying to control the firearms and the property that they possessed. That's what our ancestors fought against. That's what I certainly fight against every single day, and I'm sure many of you watching this video also fight against that in one form or the other. And I'd also like to really reiterate here that government is not a helper. Government doesn't help you with anything. And I think this modern mentality that government should be the provider, or that government should be the agent of change, or that government should be involved in everybody's lives, that does not equal being an American. That's the antithesis. That's the opposite of what being an American is. True Americans do not want government involved in their lives at all. I certainly would like it shrunk to a size of a factor of 1,000 times less of what it is today, maybe even more. And there's certainly many other things in government that are involved in our lives that are quite against the American freedom. See, we institute government to protect our rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's the only reason why we gave them permission to form and to later be the servants of the American people. So our life. That means a right to live it and also the right to protect it. And I think that there are many people in government today and also many people in our society that would deprive us of our right to keep and bear arms. You just need to look at some of the congressional representatives. Look at some of our former presidents and current president, by the way, who is completely against the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. And there are also people, fellow Americans, that would love to restrict or even eliminate altogether our right to keep and bear arms. Well, I'm going to tell you something, guys. That's not going to happen. It is codified and enshrined in the Bill of Rights that the right of the people to keep and bear arms. If you'd like to have an intellectual debate over what militia is or what well-regulated means, I've written several books on the subject, and I can also talk about from a collegiate professor experience that those words don't mean in modernity what they meant to the people that actually wrote them. So it's quite irresponsible to try to twist those words. And our fundamental rights, Americans, our first fundamental right is the right to keep and bear arms, because that is the teeth of the Constitution, as George Washington spoke about, and ultimately it is the safeguard of all the other words written in that document, because without a way to protect it, without a way to make sure that it stays that course, without a means of the people to resist any attempts at overthrowing those words, everything else is just words on a paper. We have many other countries across the world where their constitution or their government is nothing but words that can constantly be changed, and the people have no recourse in those countries to do it. Look at South Africa. Look at Britain. Look at many other countries across the world that they're Canada, Australia. Look at all those countries where the government just says something and then it happens without any ability of the people to ever own their own government. And I also think another hallmark of being an American is the right to free speech, the right to assemble, the right to protest. And I want you to think about the last couple of years in this country. There have been many tyrannical mayors, governors, and state legislatures that have said not only do you not have the right to petition, but you don't have the right to worship. You can't even go to church. You can't be critical of the government, or you can't say certain words against certain protected individuals. Well, I thought all Americans are protected. I don't think anybody's any better or worse than anybody else. And certainly when we look at the First Amendment, it's absolutely crucial. If we don't have free speech, then anything else is possible to convince people of lies and inaccuracies. If we don't have the right to worship freely, then we've kind of defeated the whole purpose of why the United States was started to begin with. First people that came here and colonized it were persecuted religiously from where they came. One need to look no further than the Pilgrims or the Puritans, and later on countless other millions of people that came here and were persecuted in their country of origin. So we have to look at the importance of the right to worship and the right to free speech and the right to petition, the right to assemble. The right to people to gather was also just waved a magic wand by many mayors and governors, and they weren't allowed. And I say that in quotations because people should have disobeyed that. Many places they did. And that's that rebellious American spirit that I'm talking about that we should always maintain and always advocate others to do during unjust times. I'd also like to illustrate that being an American also involves working hard, having that work ethic, having that spirit of courage. I think real Americans prefer dangerous liberty Dangerous liberty over peaceful slavery. Our founders didn't just sit in their house and get lazy and not do anything. You know, our founders were people that went out and made things happen. The original Americans were people that went out and made things happen. They were courageous, risk-taking individuals. And I can tell you this, guys, that the American spirit is dangerous freedom. I think dangerous freedom is a perfect way to describe this place. And if you kind of don't have that kind of outlaw spirit, or you got that rebellious spirit, you got to tap into that and really understand this country. Of all the hundreds of other countries out there, we have so many opportunities to be who we want to be, do what we want to do, exercise those God-given freedoms. And anybody that wants to take those away should have to come through you. They're going to have to come through me. They're going to have to come through all the people that fought and have protected this country from sniveling little whiny children over the decades and centuries that have tried to make this country into something that it's not, to try to make it much more like all the other countries in the world. If it seems that I'm an American file, it's because I am. I'm very proud of being an American and what the people in this country have done over the centuries. And I'm also very proud of many pockets of rebellion, many pockets of resistance that are out there against tyranny, against people that would subvert our natural rights. I'm very proud of those individuals. And I will be very proud to say that I believe that in the next decade or even the next 20 years, I think this country's identity is going to be settled once and for all. I personally think that the good guys will win. I certainly believe that we're the ones that stand on based principles. I certainly believe that we're the ones that believe in freedom for everybody. I certainly believe that we're the ones that believe in the right to keep and bear arms. And quite honestly, guys, that we are the most armed nation on the planet. All it takes is courage. All it takes is that resolve. All it takes is that ability to remain free. And our desire to remain free has to remain more than those who desire to control us. If you're a person that thinks that someone does not have a right to the Second Amendment, well, you're going to find out the hard way that you're on the losing side of history. If you're a person that doesn't believe in free speech, that you believe in political correctness, once again, you're going to find out that you are on the wrong side of history. And you're going to find out very swiftly and finally that you're on the wrong side of history. If you're a person that believes in taking chances, taking risks, going out there and enjoying freedom, you're going to find that that's exactly what our ancestors wanted for us. And they believed that our freedom didn't come from our security. Our security came from our freedoms. And I think that's a very, very diametrically opposed viewpoint. We do not have a right to feel safe. We have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you're a person that's so afraid of the boogeyman, you're afraid of viruses, you're afraid of other people owning guns, then you need to grow up, become an adult, stop sucking your thumb in the closet with your whoopee over your head, and grow a pair. And if some of these young people watching this video, sometimes tough love is there. And sometimes the older people in there that have been coddled your whole life, sometimes, the truth is an offense. And that's fine by me. But you got to understand, guys, America is a tough country. It's got tough people in it, but it also has weak, sniveling people in it that aren't worthy of the mantle of being an American. And you understand where their genetic DNA comes from, and you understand where their belief, their coddled upbringing comes from, which is quite destructive to a free people. And if you found the information in this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media. I've got Instagram, Facebook, many other platforms out there that I post on as well. And if you want to learn how to exercise your Second Amendment, and you want to learn how to protect your freedom, come out to Valor Ridge and we can help you. This is Reed Hendricks of Valor Ridge reminding you the lessons that we learn are written on the tombstones of others. We'll see you on the Ridge.